Happy Information Wednesday. Through my teaser, I'm talking about all things flood insurance today. As I mentioned, 35% of Arizona is in a 100-year floodplain. In fact, in my zip code alone in North Scottsdale, 6,300 homes are in a flood zone, including mine. And so it's important to know that your homeowner's policy and most business policies do not cover any sort of flood coverage or damage. So you are required to have flood insurance, otherwise you are SOL. First question I get a lot is, do insurance companies actually sell flood coverage? And not all insurance companies do provide flood insurance. Farmers, in fact, does, and also have another avenue to sell it through as well, to compare pricing and find out what is a better option. Although some other insurance companies would provide flood coverage, their pricing may be a lot more expensive than if you were to go with someone else. So make sure you do shop around and get the best rate before you do sign up for flood coverage. Because once you do have flood insurance, you pretty much are just in it, and it renews every year until you sell your house or you no longer need it, or if you choose no longer to have it. With that said, if you do have a mortgage on your property, your lender will always 100% require you to have flood coverage, flood insurance on your property. So what goes into a flood insurance policy? So you do have dwelling coverage, just like you do it on your homeowner's policy, where they're just going to cover basically the building itself. There is zero personal property involved in a standard flood policy. You can, of course, add some personal property coverage on your insurance policy for flood. However, depending on the amount that you actually have for coverage, it does get pretty pricey. I think what I ended up doing on my personal home is I had a very minute amount of personal property coverage. I think I only did like 25,000 or something, because if I actually tried to mirror the personal property coverage I have on my homeowner's policy, my flood policy went to like $4,000 a year, which is absolutely crazy, especially for a policy that we probably will never have to use. So it is important to make sure you weigh your options. You do have the ability to have all different kind of coverages on your flood policy. How the flood policy is typically rated to begin with is they go, as I was saying, your flood insurance policy gets based off the dwelling, and how that is taken into account is they look at your elevation grade. Has there been any past history at this property or, in your generalized location with having some flood issues and claims? They also look at what kind of construction your home is built out of. All of those factors go into consideration when they rate your policy. Flood policies range anywhere from like $450 a year up to, thousands, depending on, again, what kind of coverages you have and what you don't have. For those of you that already live in a floodplain, I think it's important, as always, just like your other policies, to make sure that you audit and see what your flood insurance policy carries versus not, what's included versus excluded, because you may have needs that have changed where having personal property coverage needs to be added, or you can maybe take it away. Unlike homeowners policies, the flood policy does not have a natural inflation guard, so you're not going to see the increase in your reconstruction cost year after year like you will on your homeowner's policy. So for those of you who may have a flood policy that was taken out 10 plus years ago, obviously our economy has changed a lot, market values have changed, building and materials have changed, all of that stuff, which now is a lot more expensive than it would have been 10 years ago. So make sure that you're not shortchanged and you audit your policies. As always, I'm here to be your resource. You can call me at 602-525-5665 or email me at cmcqueen@farmersagent.com. Remember to ask yourself, are you protected? We'll see y'all next week.